Nipples. I don't even know. We were literally talking about banana nipples to test audio, and so I decided to
Yep.
bring that up. Anyway,
Welcome to Two Idiots on a Couch, where no couch is present and two idiots are.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Like,
Are you gonna sing the theme song?
I didn't realize I nudged my camera just slightly before. Oh no.
You fucked it up. No, that's my. I moved my arm. Your camera was
Okay.
it's because me and Jesse have a little bit of a new setup
Still got
here.
that
Like
there,
our
though.
cameras are closer and stuff like that. And so like I had moved closer. Jesse, yeah, we're adjusting on the fly. I'm keeping that in. I'm not editing
That's
that out.
fine.
Fuck that. Anyway, so this week I actually wanted to talk about. We have a bit of a shorter podcast because we. Like every single week we do this, we decide to fix all the tech issues right before we're going to record, and then we book things early. And so
Yes.
now we immediately have to go. We sound like we're important book things. We're just going out to dinner, but like
No.
we book
things.
I like to sound like I am more professional. I've noticed that because of this new job, for those of you who don't know, I have a new job. And I feel like because this new job is like a big boy job, I am talking way more in the business sense because I actually go to like meetings now and I have to like check my schedule for things and do follow-ups and things like that. And so because I like even at a job where I had to like my last job before this, I still had to like send emails and do correspondence and like have like a calendar to keep track of things, but it was never like professional in this way. Like this time is like now I'm like, let me check my calendar. I have an appointment that day. Like, I have this meeting and this meeting, so we can do our follow up like on this day. And like, I've noticed that my language for just speaking has changed. Like, I think we were talking about this new program for D&D where you can make maps in 3D space and stuff like that. Before this podcast, Leah was showing us. Leah's our friend who has a band and a Twitch channel, a YouTube channel. You've probably seen them on Nerds Live before because we play D&D with them on our Twitch channel. It's like all a refresher,
Yeah. Those who have been absent for the last 6 months.
So anyway, they were showing us a map program that's 3D. You can make 3D D&D maps, and they're interactive, and they have like interactive lights, like fireplaces flicker and stuff like that. It's really cool. And so we were talking about that, and they were telling me about this program, and they were like, "Oh, I have this program now, so like, can we use this?" And I was like, yeah, the problem with that app though is like it's kind of new, it didn't have as many options, like every player that wants to use it needs to have an account, like blah blah. I was going through all this stuff, but as I was thinking about it, I was realizing I had like some ideas to like actually use it, and I literally messaged Leah. I was like, I'm thinking of some really neat ways to implement that. Like what? Yeah, I just like no, it's a word, right? But I would never say that. I would just be like oh yeah, like I have some cool ways to use that, like we could do that.
I mean,
because I'm like,
I don't know. Just go with the flow, man. Do whatever your
well,
mind
it's just like
says.
it's just how I type and think now, like thinking about like that kind of stuff. It just like changes the way your normal vocabulary works, which is good because you don't want to like be at work and be like, oh man, we could use that really cool stuff, like you'd rather have like the mindset of just like having your proper vocabulary or whatever.
Sure.
Not that I use proper vocabulary, to be
No,
fair. I use like dope and awesome and stuff like that when I talk to coworkers. Yeah, like I don't really care. I think I literally said like I say sweet all the time, like, oh man, that's sweet. Like thanks for that. Or whatever. Like, like I'm totally
I mean,
company,
like,
it's a startup of millennials.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but like, where's the fine line of
know.
professionalism that you can use in like a work environment?
Well, I think that line slowly changes, right? Like I think it's blending because like you have work-life balance, stuff like that, and I think when it's coming to coworkers, everyone kind of wants to at least feel like their office is
their home because they live there.
Yeah, I know some jobs want you to feel like that. They're like, make yourself at home because you're gonna live
we're
here.
Family.
Yeah, we're family, and you're gonna be here 12 hours every day for the rest of your life. No, I think that line definitely starts to shift, and I think it really depends on the company and its values and its community, right? And the actual like quote unquote vibe of like what they're going for,
I'm fucking old.
Yeah, like I really just think it depends on the culture, and my company is trying to start from the ground because we're a startup and they've been around for a couple years, but they're hiring like crazy, and they just want to keep the culture of being open and communicating and just really being close knit, you know? And that's not possible really as you get bigger and bigger, and we kind of realize that, you know, you start to get your clicks and stuff like that, and at some point the like ground level employees aren't really the same level as these higher ups, because all of these higher ups were also just ground level things, and they're creating these positions as we go along. Like everyone still feels like they're on the same level, you know? Like even with my boss, like they're my boss, and I obviously respect them and they have the final say in decisions and things like that. I still feel like I can be open and come up with ideas and stuff like that. And that's the really, really cool thing about um a startup. Like I felt more listened to than I've ever felt at any other job ever, you know? Even at jobs that claimed like they listen to employees, you know? Like this is a company that really doesn't even claim that, and they do it, you know? And you actually feel like you are listened to and that you can have the freedom to have cool ideas and implement them, and there's room to grow and stuff like that. So it's definitely a really cool culture that they're like cultivating for new employees as they come on and stuff like that. That was not the point of what we were talking about earlier.
I was just letting you finish it when you were going on about stuff. I was like, where do I cut this off? But
anyway,
like
I think
really
my language definitely like has changed. I don't know how we got into that topic, but anyway, the topic that I want to talk about, which has a little bit to do about that, but it's we actually got new lightsabers. They are I may will insert a clip here if we decide to film TikToks and shit like that of the lightsabers at some point. If you don't see a clip, like
it never happened.
yeah, I didn't feel like putting it in. But if I did, you're welcome. But if so, we got these and we are talking, and like we are, you know, we're relatively old guys, you know, we're pretty but no, I'm in my mid 20s, Jesse's in his later 20s. I got him a cane for Christmas, but he
actually didn't, but
I did not. But you know, we're at the point where a lot of the things we do, like a D&D and video games and all that stuff, from a lot of people are looked at as like immature or childish things. Even some of the things we do outside of work, you know, like axe throwing and stuff like that. To me, that stuff is like perfectly around our age group, like axe throwing and things like that. But like lightsabers and doing like Lord of the Rings movie nights and like literally just being nerds is like definitely from a large part of people seen as like
I think a large part of people that say that as grow up actually don't have personalities outside of their job. So
yeah,
that's my hot take. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That's your hot take. My hot take is more of a more tempered take, but it's you should live your life the way you want to, right? Like if you view that stuff as immature and you are just someone who feels weird playing with that kind of stuff or even like doing that stuff, then it's not for you. And I would never say that you're weird for not doing it, right? But I also think that it's the same reverse. It's like if someone derives enjoyment from that, then like I feel like there's nothing wrong with that, you know, because I'm still a functioning member of society. I pay my taxes, IRS. You know, I like have a car, I make payments on things, like I am an adult in this weird fucking world. And what I do to have fun, right? Like why I just don't get why people want to live their lives to like not enjoy it, you know? And I get it. If you don't enjoy stuff, if you're not a fan of lightsabers, if you're not a fan of D&D, if you're not a fan of fantasy movies and things like that, then do whatever you're a fan of, you know? Like, I don't fucking go... Like, I hate, like... It's hard to find something I hate. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Let's say, like, I fucking hated bike riding, you know? And I don't actually love bike riding. But, like, let's say I, like, hated it. And the people that go bike riding every single weekend that fucking drive around their entire city and, like, go back, you know? And they spend 6 hours every weekend riding their bike. That'd be so fucking stupid if I was just like, you're riding a bicycle? Like, really? Like, that's fucking... yeah, like, grow up. Like, even if I didn't say grow up, it's just like,
no, I know.
I can't believe you're doing that. Like, you really have fun doing that? Like, that's so gross, you know? Like, that would fucking be stupid. Like, if they enjoy riding their bicycle, like, fucking have at it.
I don't think activities should really be limited to an age range. Obviously, of course, if it's like a a kid's birthday party, that's one thing, but
Yeah. Let's have
but like,
kids' birthday parties.
let's
all the
just,
time.
how about we rent our own private bounce house in your backyard?
Yeah, I exceed the weight limit for sure. But like, no, but I
But
totally get that. I think like it's this weird thing that like I'm a huge like believer in like if something isn't affecting you, then like why the fuck do you care?
right,
And
right.
like if it affects you, like sure, right? Like there's I'm reluctant to bring this up a little bit, but there's this whole thing about like Disney adults, right? And there's a huge portion of people who think that if you're over a certain age and you're not at Disney with kids, that you should fucking leave. And you're wrong. First of all, like go fuck yourself. But like, I also understand that like if you are a certain age and you're like causing a scene and you're ruining it for the kids that are there, that's a little different, right? That's where I think like it's okay to be like those people are being assholes, because those people are being assholes. Just like if there's a fucking Karen with her like cunt child, like who's being like a little brat and ruining it for everyone else behind them, like that's also like you can complain about that, and because that's like fucked up. But I think like just having people at these parks like going there. Like I remember one of the arguments I saw against that was like you had a chance to be a kid. And it's like you have no fucking idea,
Yeah, no, well,
Like
that's
you have no idea what
exactly.
people like did as kids. Like I remember just like my dad took us to Disney every year um as kids. Like I was definitely very, very fortunate to have the childhood that involved going to Disney all the time. But I guarantee the biggest reason my mom and dad did that is because both of them didn't get to go do that every year. So they were going for taking their kids for enjoyment. But my dad also went on every fucking ride because he wanted to. And if there were rides me and my sister didn't want to go on, he just went on by himself. So he also was
Well,
having fun at the park, Like it
to be
wasn't
fair, you're
just
also
for
getting
his
your money's
kids.
worth out of it at that point as well, right?
Yeah, sure. Disney was a lot cheaper when we were
That's actually a fair
when I
point.
was like also the kids got in like free or super duper discounted, and like they always went through AAA, and like they always
Oh,
found a way to
yeah.
get it like cheaper, and kids were like cheaper up until like the age of 12 or 13 or whatever. And my sister's like shorter, and we looked more like twins when we were younger, so like until I was 13, like we just pretended that like she was also 13, so we always got kid prices for extra times and stuff. So, um, you know, but he enjoyed that, like he derived enjoyment. But like, do you want to know why he probably did that? Because he didn't get to do any of that shit when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think we talked about it the other week, and the only vacation that he ever went on, they like took a train to Florida. I think that, and they didn't even go to like Disney. They like took a train to somewhere else in Florida, and they stayed like at a hotel or something in Florida for like a few days,
Yeah.
and then they took a train back, and that was his only. That was the only vacation that
I
he ever took.
don't honestly, I didn't leave our state up until like the first time I visited the city in New York. I was 23,
Mm-hmm.
24. So I completely understand that. And it's like,
Right.
I mean, maybe one time we were trying to drive to the Rockefeller Center during Christmas, and my dad overshot somehow, and we ended up in New Jersey. But, that was it, and we went home. So I never got to experience any of that either. So it's like I'm trying to now, I'm a little older, but, I'm trying to take advantage of what I can for
Right.
what it's worth.
Yeah, I think it's if these people, I mean, we can use you as the perfect example. Like if we go to Disney, like you're gonna have fun. Like you're gonna get to experience that because you've never gotten to do that before. Um, and like that shouldn't be like weird. Like it's a cool place. Like amusement parks are fucking cool. Like some people find them overrated and they don't enjoy them. Again, that's a different story. If you don't enjoy it, then like don't fucking go. But someone else's enjoyment of an amusement park shouldn't like piss you off. Like I think you have a different problem if like it pisses you off. But but yeah, like there's nothing like odd about that. And like I haven't been in a super long time. Like I'm gonna go and it's super fun. Like we used to go when we were teenagers up until like I think the last time I went I was like 16. I also went when I was 21 to Disneyland or to Universal uh in an where I guess it's in LA. I guess Universal is. I guess Disney's in
It,
Anaheim,
oh,
but like they're
got it.
close to each
Okay,
other.
yeah, yeah.
But I went to Universal, and like it just shouldn't be weird. Like we went to Harry Potter World, like it was fun, like it was cool, like it was like Universal was cool. Like we got to go on rides at Universal and walk around, and it's like a fucking like fun place. So I don't understand why like stuff like that to be weird. Like if we enjoy like the lightsabers are fucking awesome,
Yeah.
like we
No, I
enjoy
was.
Star Wars, like those movies are cool, like and the
What
lightsabers are dope.
What's funny is I forget who I was telling. It was my coworker. Like the last time, so I myself I own 2 lightsabers. Beta owns 4. The last time I purchased the other lightsaber for myself was back in November. So that alone is already like a good 5-6 months. And it's like, I don't buy much for myself often because I prioritize saving money and paying my bills and so forth. So I am a very functioning member of human society, as you would put it. But yeah, it's like, I said that, and it's like, if it brings me happiness, I told it to my coworker, I was like, it was for the expense of happiness.
Yeah, I mean like that that's exactly it. Like, people buy and you see this everywhere, Like there are people when they're just like, my partner bought face masks and you know, essential oils and like all of this like self-care stuff, and like some people are like that, and it's like if that's what they fucking enjoy having, like let them do it. Like there's a difference, right? Like if someone's financial decision and they just spent like decision. If someone's like financial situation and they're like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna be able to pay my car bill, and then like I showed up at your house and you're like, but look at these two $600 lightsabers I just bought, then I'd be like, yeah, I'm not judging you for buying the lightsabers. I'm judging you for being financially irresponsible and
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
taking care of your other responsibilities first. But
Agreed.
I'm not making fun of like the happiness you're gonna derive from that, and I think that's like a huge thing that should be it. Like if you have fun doing something like that, you should have fun.
Yeah. One
It's just like I think people are trying to gatekeep fun. Like they're
gatekeep
like
fun.
the only things that are fun are rock climbing, biking, and hiking. And like if you don't like that stuff, oh, and we have to go to a bar and get beer. And if you don't like that stuff, then you're not an adult. And
Yeah.
it's like you're fucking wrong and an alcoholic. Like it's just like
I mean, hey, if they have fun doing it, fuck it, go for it. But like,
right. If
don't
that stuff is fun for
don't
you, then
enforce
that's
that
it.
on others.
Right.
But
I think yeah, I don't know. I think like as kids we even had that, like when you were in kindergarten playing with toys, they had so many different toys because there were some toys you just didn't want to fucking play with.
hmm,
There were some that you wanted to. Like there were kids that always played with like the blocks, and the other kids were fucking playing hopscotch because that was just what they fucking enjoyed. It's so weird that like as adults we got way more judgmental and like only what I like is what's okay. And like we saw that because we talked about reviews and shit last week, and that's exactly how a lot of gaming communities are with like the games. Like if you don't like that game, then like you're not fun. Because we were talking about Elden Ring, and there are people who fucking they're like, if you don't like the Challenge of Souls game, you're not a real gamer. And
yeah.
it's like you fucking are. Like you're a real gamer. Like do you play games? You're a gamer. Like
What
that's how that works.
What's funny is like, because I told my coworker I bought my first lightsaber back in November,
yeah.
and then she was like, "Why though?" She's like, all right, but she's like, whatever. And I told her I was like, I was buying a second one, and then she was like really judging me. But then when I made that Instagram video of me turning it on,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, right. It's just like
so it was like,
it's also like so we spar with them like
yeah, no, they're
there's a whole like it's a whole fencing community of people who spar with lightsabers, and there's like rules and things like that. Like I don't think I'll ever go to a sparring match, but it's like it's a fun active thing that you can do. So these sabers are meant to like get smacked, and they're meant to like
break a couple
basically
hands.
it's basically like a little bit more active version of fencing. So instead of just stabbing, you're actually swinging and stuff like that. But like that's what they're for. And like that's cool. And like if we ever want to make TikToks or different videos and stuff like that, like we can. Like that's the really cool thing about using these. We
Yeah.
can use them as sport, but also we can use them for an activity, and we can use them for making TikToks and videos and sketches and like whatever else we want to use them for. Like they're
Actually,
definitely multi-purpose, and they're just fun to have.
because I was like doing right before I left work on Friday, yesterday. I was actually talking to my director, and I was like, because my sister, while I was at work, was texting me.
Hmm.
She goes, "What's your favorite Star Wars trilogy?" And like, she was
I guess
texting
there are
me
three
as I was
trilogies.
in that meeting with my director, and my director goes, "Oh, do you need to like get that or something?" I go, "No, no, it's just my sister asking me what Star Wars do I like?" And she goes, "Oh, you like Star Wars?" I go, "Actually, I do." I was kind of very hesitant to admit it, but I was like, I actually bought a lightsaber like earlier in the week, or it came earlier in the week. And she goes, "Oh yeah, we own a couple myself." I was like, "Oh, that's actually really cool."
Yeah,
She's like,
it's
"My daughter loves it, my husband loves it." She's like, "We got a couple in the basement." She's like, "We even have the chopsticks." I go, "That's pretty cool."
Yeah, it's really interesting that I've definitely noticed that we were talking about it, and I don't know if this is across the board because I really only have my experience and the couple others of other friends that I've had, but like I've noticed that parents that have that stuff, like I had Nerf guns growing up because me and my dad had like Nerf fights, and
Hmm.
and like I had lightsabers growing up because my dad thought they were cool, and I got Darth Vader's like voice changing mask for Christmas one year, or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it had the breathing and stuff. It was cool. Um, but I've noticed that like the parents that had that stuff, they're usually way more active like in their kids' lives. They're also the people that don't judge. So I feel like those people that have like that are upset that there are people above the age of like 16 at Disney because their kid has to wait longer in line for rides and stuff like that. I feel like are the people that want to see their kids like the least. They're like, I just don't want my kid to complain and I want to get through this vacation so I can fucking go back home and play golf with my friends and drink beer. Or just like whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
you know? Like I feel like if like again,
That's
it's a little different if someone's causing a scene shit like that, like it's totally a different story. Like if there's just fucking a bunch of kids being
tolerating it.
hoodlums, like uh like it's different if there are people who are causing a scene and like actually causing an issue. But just having to wait in a little bit of a longer line because there's adults there, like that's fucking
Yeah.
like dumb. Like my dad loved going on those rides and stuff like that, and it's those are the parents that like get it. Like as an adult, he was like, he might use the excuse like because I think like there's this whole thing where society was just like all of that stuff is for kids, but if you have kids it's okay.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, but I have kids, so it's fine that I play with Nerf guns and lightsabers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think we just realized that like if we had a generation of parents that let us do that, then like it doesn't fucking matter, then like it's okay to like do that. And then we're gonna get do that with our kids and they're just gonna realize that like just like whatever the fuck you want to like. I think it's definitely a more like open society with that. And there's fucking things that I see that people do, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't think I would do that for fun, but it's just like if that's what you enjoy doing, like fucking have at it. Like there's nothing more boring than something that's like, what do you like doing for fun? They're like, "Well, I don't play with lightsabers, that's for sure." And it's like, what do you do? Sit at home and watch TV and then go to clubs? Like, if that's what you enjoy, sure, but like fucking doing nothing is more fun than having like lightsabers and going and doing nerdy shit and like I don't know. It's just like it's so odd to me that like people sit there and like they're like only what I do is fun. It boggles my mind that there could be people that like judge so hard when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you
I
know.
just think it was people that weren't really also introduced to that kind of stuff either. Like maybe if they were soon, because like I also have a few younger coworkers who are just like leaving high school kind of
Hmm.
thing, and he was like, "Oh, he's like I love Star Wars because that's what I grew up with. Like it's what was on TV and like this and that." It's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, because people who grow up with this stuff are more likely to like it when they're older as well.
Right. And here's the thing, right? There's also I also get that there's a point in your life where you want to try and seem older than you are. Like when you're graduating high school and like your first early years of college, like when you're around your friends and shit, you like nerdy stuff, but there's like always part of you that like judges outsiders because you are trying to make yourself seem like your life is more together and like you're older. And there's like this whole thing and it's like I need to seem mature and like I'm an adult because I want to be treated that way.
But what if
And
you can be both?
no, well, you totally can be both, right? And I think there's this thing where because I was definitely like that too. There was a point where I was just like, I didn't tell people I played video games, and like it was very cool. Like I had like two separate things. Like if I was talking to someone that didn't that I knew didn't like nerdy stuff, and it wasn't their cup of tea, I would I would only talk about the things that I do that weren't the nerdy things. So I wouldn't mention playing video games. I'd mention like watching TV because like I feel like most people are still into that. I would mention like listening to music and going to concerts, and I would mention like,
Yeah, yeah.
the more active things we did, like fucking going hiking or Cape Cod or like things like that. And that's all I would mention, even though that's like the biggest parts of my life aren't that stuff. Like at that time I wasn't playing D&D, but I was like super into video games. I was still streaming occasionally, um those were like two huge things in my life, and also like Star Wars, and like even the podcast that I used to do and stuff like that. Like I would not talk about that with everyone because I was trying to seem older, and all that stuff to me seemed immature, so I would have like these two sides. Like if I met new people, like when I met you, I was like, I don't give a shit, like, for those people. But, like, when I was at work and stuff like that, like, I would not talk about that stuff. And then when I worked at Apple, that's where it changed. Like, the first 2 years at Apple, I was like, I need to seem more mature. I'm working with these super rich assholes, and I need to seem like I'm more mature. And even my coworkers, these are all, like, creative people and stuff like that. And while some of them are nerdy and, like, video games and stuff like that, like, a lot of them are doing different things. A lot of them like do art for their free time, or do photography, or do music and all this stuff. So they're not focused necessarily on the video game part. Like they might play a video game occasionally or watch a nerdy movie occasionally, and it's not like they were super judgy, but I just felt like I couldn't be like my actual nerd self until just part of me was like, yeah, I don't care. Like if customers come in, like I'll tell you I play video games, like I don't care. Like it was just like if you ask me what I do in my free time and I tell you like I play video games and I make stupid sketches and I watch Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, it's just like, like that's the way it's gonna be.
Yeah. Your time to unwind is valuable to you. So
right. It's just like you gotta do what you do to have fun.
exactly.
And yeah. I guess that was our episode. It was a super short episode. I can see we've only gone for
30 minutes. I don't know.
less than 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I think we got the point across.
Yeah, we super got this point across. To be fair, we also talked about my job for a while too. My phone's blowing up though as we're sitting here. It's crazy. I really did like.
Sorry, you want to continue?
Sorry, there was like 8 messages.
No.
Yeah, that was also the only topic I could think of because I was sitting there and I realized that we bought these lightsabers, and like talking about that to different people can seem weird.
I'm gonna go to a Ren fair dressed up in my
that
everyday
was
clothing.
it too. Like just talking about that was it too. It's just like
people are dressing up here.
Like that stuff is fun. I think that's always a big thing, right? Like we've talked to people about Ren Fair before, and there was people that are like, "Oh, that's so weird" or whatever, and then like these people go to Ren Fairs and they're like, "Oh my god, that was so much fun." Yeah. It's like, what's the difference between going to a gigantic music festival and going to a Ren Fair? Like, yes, the actual actions of those things are very different. One of those is listening to music and stuff like that, but the other one is just experiencing a culture of some kind, and that's what a music festival is.
Yeah.
Like Coachella's a bunch of high people just fucking listening to weird fucking music. And a Ren Fair is just a bunch of not high people. Well, maybe some of them are high. It's a bunch of not high people who are drinking or just enjoying things like axe throwing, archery, fucking, time period piece things, like it's art. Like there's tons of art and sculptures and
definitely.
Fake fighting, like simulation fighting and what's the horse thing?
The jousting?
Yeah, thank you. The jousting. Yeah, I don't know why that was
effects, by the way.
Thank you. There's all of that stuff. So it's so interesting that like that stuff is so much fun. We've definitely talked to people who thought that was weird, but I had so much fun. Like that's one of like the really awesome things to look forward to every year is when it's warm, going to like a Ren Fair. Yeah, we do a lot of fucking interesting. I just realized that we do like a ton of them.
I was actually credited the cool kind of nerd at work the other day.
The cool kind of nerd.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it, right? I think there's like whole perception that like nerds are not regular people, and we're all just regular people. Like like regular's not a thing, It's just like yeah, we're weird, but everybody's fucking weird in their own way. That is also very true. Like that's what makes people super interesting. Is we're all like quirky and unique, and we like different things, and I think it's all just about like the perception, right? Because I feel like the whole like classic trope of like jock versus nerd and everything that I know like Travis Willingham and other people have talked about, that he was like a jock and stuff like that, and he was always nervous to talk about liking D&D and stuff like that, but he still always talked to those kids and was like, you know, oh, like Vampire the Masquerade, like this seems really cool and stuff like that, you know, but he was still like always in between like, should I play that because I'm on the football team, or all these
Right.
football
Get your
kids gonna make
social
fun of
cred to
me?
worry about.
I feel like that trope was always like, it's because both sides didn't like something. Like obviously the classic trope is like the jocks bully the nerds or whatever, but like in a sense they felt like they were like diametrically opposed because one of them liked active things in sports and the other people liked books and things like that. And so the fucking nerds were just like, oh, these fucking dumb jocks, they don't like books and stuff like that. And then the jocks were like, oh, these fucking nerds just like book, they can't fucking lift or anything
Pick up
like
a
that.
ball.
It's just like, if both people were just like, oh man, they like fucking running and lifting and jumping and shit, like that's fun. Like that seems like cool. Like I'm just not athletic and I enjoy books more than that. And if the other people were like, yeah, I really like running and jumping and stuff like that, and they like books and like I wish I could get into books, I just feel like I don't enjoy reading them. That whole trope's just gone, you
Yeah.
know? It's just like both sides can coexist and talk, and it's just like,
I was gonna say I blame television, but that really has nothing to do with it.
yeah, I don't
think
blame
movies
television
definitely-
because that trope was there before, right?
I would
Like,
say
think that
movies
trope
also
came
definitely
from-
gave a very awful depiction of what a nerd is, or some kind of like,
I
visual
think they also gave a
representation.
bad
but-
depiction to jocks too, right? Like I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that was it. Like yeah, like in some of the old movies,
What was it
like
like?
jocks were cool, but also all the jocks were stupid. Like
What the
was
fuck's
the
that
whole
movie?
thing, is,
The
like-
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, right.
Literally, there was like a little bit of everyone
Yeah.
there. So
That was a cool movie.
yeah,
But I think it's more so it just comes down to like everyone just being more accepting, because like while I don't enjoy like sports or hiking or climbing and stuff like that, like I talk to you guys about climbing and stuff like that all the time, you know, and it's just like you don't have to like enjoy or have that be your favorite thing, you know, in order to talk to someone about it. And I think that's like the biggest thing. I think people are just like, fucking nerds are so hard to talk to because all they like is this. And it's like, no, as long as both parties are just super open about like whatever, it's really easy to talk about both things, you
Yeah.
know?
like
It's
I don't
easy
follow
to, like,
sports, but like I can definitely hold a conversation about one.
yeah, it's easy to be like, oh, you know, and the best thing about that is like you just get to ask questions and shit like that, you know?
Yeah,
So
like
it's
how does that work? Or I don't know. Can you like stuff like that? It's
Yeah,
like
it's
it's
not
not,
ho- it's-
hard to talk to someone. It
yeah.
really isn't.
And I get the social anxiety behind talking things like that. You know, like we're not saying that like the act of the conversation is like not hard for some people, because I totally get it is, right? I 100% get that there are some people where it's just like that is a hurdle you need to cross over because of anxiety or mental health or
I don't
even mental ability, you know? Like I 1,000% understand that, because like I have people in my life who physically can't do that. Like they're just mentally not capable of holding a one-on-one conversation in like the standard way, you know, or they can't kind of manipulate the way they have a one-on-one conversation. It has to go the set way just because of their mental capabilities, you know.
Yeah.
But when it comes to being able to have that choice, you know, like that is when it's easy to just be open about that,
Yeah.
you know, and not judge people based on their, you know, ability to have their own hobbies and things like that, you know? Like if you enjoy painting minis, like have at it. Like that seems like fun. Like go for it. If you enjoy hiking, like have at it, go for it. Like it seems fun. It's and it's easy for those two people to talk to each other. Like the person who's hiking and the person that's painting minis might have nothing in common, but it's still easy for them to talk, you know, because they both have things that they're passionate about and they both can ask questions and be interested, and like it's not hard to do that, you know. And it could just be the way my brain works. Like I'm just super interested in everything. Like I love
Yeah.
asking questions. I love learning, and I like, you know,
I would say no
figuring stuff
question's a
out.
stupid question in a conversation, but
I mean, you asked some pretty stupid.
no, yeah, but I just
I'm
think
kidding,
I
I'm
care.
kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I don't care. Let me tell you. Let me tell you something. No.
Yeah, no, but I agree. I think just like when you're in a conversation, it's like it's a hurdle you have to get over. Like I agree that like when I was younger, I used to get embarrassed easy, and I used to just not like attention, and I used to like, and I still do it sometimes just for like, because I've gotten good at it, but like if someone says something and they're talking about something and I have no idea what they're talking about, I've gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, if I don't know, I'm just going to ask. Like,
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
it can just stop things down the line from being weird, because someone's like, you mentioned you like this thing. And I go, yeah, sure, I did. Like, even though I have no idea what they're talking about, it's easier just to, like, the first time in the conversation when someone says, like, oh, do you watch this thing? My go-to is always like, even if I haven't heard of it, it's easier to be like, oh, I've heard of it, but like I don't know much about it, you know, and that
Yeah.
immediately gets someone to be like, oh, well, it's this and this, you know. It's just easier to do that than to me to go, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, and they go, oh yeah, and then they just talk, and then I'm sitting there in my head being like,
Yep. Uh-huh.
what can I say to make them believe that I actually know what they're talking about, you know? And you know, a lot of that comes from just not wanting to be embarrassed and stuff in other conversations.
Yeah,
but
I think
right.
you're saving yourself the trouble in the long run, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, we passed our 30-minute mark. That was just my goal, was to get over 30 minutes. Otherwise, it'd be too
Well,
short.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of something. We don't have a title yet, but
No, we're two idiots on a couch. What do you mean?
no, I mean the title of the episode. But
Oh, I mean, like we never have that beforehand.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll be live next week. I'm gonna try and keep the first couple topics that we talk about not necessarily, I guess Elden Ring last week's episode was a little topical for
Spicy.
a time period, but my whole thing was I don't want trying to not want to do topical things because that we're gonna put them out later because I want to try and stockpile a few of these so that way if we miss a week or whatever, there's some that are still in the buffer, and it also gives me time to edit the new episodes and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll get on the groove for editing these, and this one will be easy to edit because it's shorter than all the other ones. But if you have any feedback, we would love to hear it. Next week, I really want to start maybe getting down into segments and things like that and having these short segments of different things. So yeah, if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it. And my name is Beta.
And my name is Beta. No.
Yeah, the
My name
funny
is
thing is
Jesse.
they actually have no idea what I did because I'll just cut to your face. And we will see you next week. This was Two Idiots on a Couch. Thank you for watching, and banana nipples. Goodbye.